Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below this video once the video has rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. We are joined by Sleeping Warrior. How are you doing, Sleeping Warrior? Good to have you.
I'm just reeling over yesterday's Issa Mahalski's chat. Issa was on for the first time in months.
11 hours.
Yesterday. Huh?
11 hours.
Is that how long you went for?
I think so, because I looked at the stream this morning and I was like, wow, 11 hours, 50 something. I was like, wow, Issa, keen, are you? Keen, 12-hour stream.
Wow. Well, obviously, Jeremy came in and we had a bit of a humdinger before I had to go out. And I'm still having afters with him right now on Discord. And I just want to state what the position is so that people are aware what Jeremy's position is. And basically, I'm pretty sure Jeremy does honestly believe this, but I also realize that he has got his wires crossed. And if he's listening and he wants to quickly jump in, I know he said he won't do, but sometimes he gets triggered enough to join in, and that's really what I kind of want him to. But in the Isle of Man debates, there were two videos. There was the lower video with the floaty land in the north, which was the original claim. And then there was a tangent that was created caused by the addendum video from which the composite was created. And then that's where we spent all the time arguing back and forth over what could and could not be seen. Anyway, Jeremy's got the opinion, or he's got the perception, that I tried to pass off the composite being taken from the lower position, the lower elevation. And that never once happened. Now, he's got some clips of where we're talking about the composite creation and it being compared to a third video, which never ended up getting released because there were already two out and I didn't really want to confuse the matter anymore. So we just didn't release it because there wasn't really anything in it other than proving where the video was taken from. Now, when I took the composite video, I actually took that first. And it was then when I saw the floaty land and I thought, I wonder how low I could get before that floaty land disappears, which was my point. That was why I went lower. So I wasn't really focusing on where the first video was taken from. I was more interested in where I could see, how low could I go before the floaty land, how low could I go and still see the floaty land, which is what a flat earther would naturally do. I wasn't really bothered about the higher point. I was more interested in the lower point, hence why I wasn't really that accurate with where I recalled it from being taken from, other than it was just higher than. It was probably here, here, or here, but I wasn't exactly sure exactly where, which was still my position late into the debate. It was conceded when somebody showed, in reference to a still frame, said, there's the frame from the third video. It matches on the second video.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Therefore, they were taken from the same point.
Yeah, Jeremy. Jeremy did that.
And I accepted that. I said, okay, then it was taken from the higher point. But ultimately, who cares? Because there was a lot of missing elevation that was required in any event. It needed to be huge. So my view was, okay, so it was taken from the highest point. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But Jeremy's got it in his head that somehow that meant that I was arguing that the composite was taken from the lower elevation, which was never the case. He thinks that, I don't know what's going through his mind, but he thinks that because he's proved that it was taken from the highest possible point, therefore I was wrong. Therefore, it must have been my position, which was actually, I didn't remember exactly where it was taken because I wasn't that interested at the time at it. He thinks that means that therefore, I think he's trying to say that I was arguing that the composite was taken from the lowest elevation, which was never the position. There's no evidence whatsoever that that's what is the position that's being argued. but Jeremy's got some what he calls evidence. But what the evidence is actually doing is comparing videos 2 and 3, not videos 1 and 3 or 1 and 2. And I don't know how he's got to this deduction, but he's got to this deduction and he's made a big deal out of it. And ultimately, I stopped watching his videos because I didn't know where he'd got it wrong, but I realized he had got it wrong. But I wasn't prepared to go into it because there was far more meat on the bone. But he's still maintaining his position. So I've tried to speak to him, and we are in the point where we're talking. We're not fighting. We're not screaming at each other. We are talking, and I've realized where he's got it wrong. Problem is, he doesn't realize where he's got it wrong, or is just defiantly standing his ground. So we are going to get to a conclusion and a crescendo with this point of Jeremy's with regards to whether or not I did lie and try to deceive. But let me put the position clear. At no point did I try and claim that the composite was taken from the lower elevation. And the evidence that Jeremy's got to try and prove that point doesn't even address that point. It addresses a different point. So I don't know whether I don't know what's going on with Jeremy, but I am going to sort it in the next couple of days. And one of us is going to back down. It works both ways. If you're going to make a series called Faking Flat and it's all based around a lie, when we finally get round to addressing it, the person that can be proven to be incorrect has to stand down like a man and admit that they got it wrong. Now I'm doubling down. I know what was said. I know what was agreed, what was argued, what was fought over, and I know what my position was because I knew that the addendum video, I couldn't remember specifically where it was taken from, but I never claimed it was taken from the lowest point, which is the claim of Jeremy. So we are going to get to a conclusion of it, and Jeremy is, if he's found to be wrong, going to correct the position. If I'm wrong, I will correct the position, and it's based on that which was said in all the debates. So Jeremy's presented the evidence so far. He hasn't shown me the part that deals with the point that he's making, but ultimately we're going to come to a conclusion on it in the next 2 or 3 days. And one of us is going to make a very public apology to the other and say that we got it wrong. Now, it's going to be down to the evidence that can be cited because it seems to be down to the interpretation of part of the evidence. So that's where we're at these days.
Fascinating.
And I'm just being told that I need to go because I've got to go and do something. So, do I have
I'm glad you got that out of the way. 11 hours after.
Yeah, I'm glad I got it out of the way. There is going to be a crescendo of the point, and there is one of us is going to have to make a concession. And I'm pretty certain it's going to be Jeremy, but Jeremy doesn't realize it yet. So, we'll see. But Nath, I do have to leave. I have to go somewhere. I have to be somewhere, unfortunately. But
good to have you.
I shall love you and leave you and wish you the best of a debate. And hopefully you'll get some ballers on with some evidence.
Hopefully so.
But in any event, gents, somebody follow the link and join him in here so he's not left on his own. But I can't wait to get to the bottom of this Jeremy thing, I'll be honest, because it's been bugging me for ages, but I couldn't be bothered dealing with it. But now I'm interested. So, right, I'm going to leave you to it. Have fun and I'll speak to you soon.
Cool.
Bye-bye for now.
Well, I've had a disastrous morning, audience members. Woke up to a blocked bathtub, so frequent viewers of the show will remember a couple of days ago I said that there was a very loud engine running outside, and as a consequence I couldn't really hear what was being said. And that was a drain cleaning company, a pressure washer shoved up the drains outside, and I think they've forced a load of crap right up my drains, which is wonderful. So I've come into a blocked drain, and in trying to plunge this drain, I've plunged it so hard I've forced the overflow pipe off my bath and flooded my underneath neighbour's bathroom, which was embarrassing to say the least. How you doing, Arwin?
Hey.
Good to have you. So I've now got a flat full of chemicals trying to unblock a drain so I can fix various different things with it.
Oh.
Yeah, fun. I've had a terrible morning.
Plumbing, eh? Yeah.
So I'm not in the best of moods.
I was listening Flatwater's stuff again. It's a really amazing story about beyond the North Pole, especially because there's so many details of what they actually measure with their compass and how the atmosphere is and the water quality and all that and description of the lands they come across. It's so detailed. It's just incredible. And well, I know a lot more about what that actually means now after 2 years or something. So it's really special.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to fill us in?
But I was yeah, I'm in the middle of listening to that. So
Oh,
wait, is the
okay.
hangout going?
This is running. Yeah, we're live now. Yeah.
Oh damn! I didn't know.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
live.
let's see. What was he on about? Yeah. What was really interesting was that the mentioning of the fake sun that apparently wasn't giving off its own light from the direction of that sun. That was very fascinating. Uh, I can't really pinpoint where that all was. Also, there was a point where there was a magnetic dip was mentioned. Uh, I'm not too sure what it even means, but it could be just like where is it? Like south of Australia, where suddenly the magnetic point turns, something like that. So yeah, a point where the magnetism reverses, although it doesn't seem to be have been the end point, as it were, because they traveled on beyond that. So that was really interesting. Also, the mentioning of certain lands they came across. Uh, at first, they were frozen over and without trees, but later they did actually come across lands that did have a lot of trees. And then there was the mention of the uh, was it? Yeah, they were without fresh water for a long time.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hello, No Globe
Hi.
Zone. Good to have you.
How are you guys doing
And
this morning?
yeah, okay, let me finish. And as they were basically crossing over the sea, they discovered that uh, the layer they were floating on was actually sweet water that was on top of another layer of very brim salt water. And that was very fascinating just to realize that. Then was some slight explanation about how the ice, uh, the ice that was floating around there was basically sweetwater ice. So yeah, that's a very rough summary of what I've been listening to right now.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very fascinating. It's definitely worth studying the details some more. And it's been a while since I've listened to that story. So,
So what can we
oh
do for
yeah.
you,
By the way,
No Globe Zone, I should say.
How's it going, guys?
Very
hey
well.
man.
I assume you've got something
You
to
know,
say.
I recently saw a video from Celebrating Truth. They were using like lasers and stuff like that to measure the tops of buildings, like over like
Hmm.
3,000 kilometers. Turns out there was no variance whatsoever. Found that quite interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we discussed that in is it the Concave Earth movie?
Yeah.
They did that as well with very professional equipment. And yeah, no explanation.
You know why?
Very
By the
weird.
way, I did finish the latter third of that movie.
Oh, you finished the
That's really funny
documentary.
because the first two-third were excellent. Was a lot of scientific experiments and all that and tests. The latter third, I basically quit halfway because they got really messy and was a lot of science fiction and just complete contradictory nonsense basically after that, where first they would basically deny what gravity was, and yeah, the typical thing, it's magnetism and all that, and then later they would argue that how light through space would be bending by gravitational lensing. It's ridiculous in the movie. It's just first they deny it even exists, and then they say that it bends light. So just
The scientific body is looming.
no, it's just that the first two-third of that movie was really good, and they really did prove things. They just did the experiments, and then the last third of that movie, suddenly they just make all these declarations. Oh yeah, this is it and that is it. They don't do any experiments. or barely. They do a few experiments, and then they bring out, oh look, it fits the mathematical it has been modeled mathematically, and but they just go deep into the scientism all of a sudden, and it
Yeah.
starts to become really weird. So yeah, it's nothing like the first 2/3 of the movie. It's really ridiculous. It's
Fair enough.
very odd.
A Music Man in the chat
But
says, "Convex Earth is a ruse. Might as well call it No Forest on Flat Earth Part 2." I wouldn't really agree with that because of the, positive things that Owen's just alluded to, which were extremely
yeah,
positive.
the first
One of
2/3
which,
were great.
yeah, well, our other guest, whose name I've forgotten already, sorry, no Globe Zone, our other guest pointed this out with his first remark, which is that, those two buildings, that was new to me. It seems obvious anyway, but that's because obviously the Earth's flat, so they're going to be on the same plane, of course. But when you actually see someone physically measuring it and showing it, you think, oh, that's new. I've not seen it done that way before. Done that way being proving that it's flat.
They put lasers like not that far above the water, and the lasers were they were completely visible on the other side. Not only that, but radio waves that should have been obstructed by the curvature were connecting just fine.
Yeah, I had seen that one before, I've got to be honest. The only one that was new to me was the buildings one, and I'm certain that someone, I said not Matrix, Smokescreen Design had done a similar thing, but he was using trajectories, aircrafts, not buildings. So that was the first time I'd seen it done in that way, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Should one of us actually explain, just so it's on this stream? So basically, they're measuring the bottoms and the tops of the buildings, and if you assume that they're on a curve, obviously they're going to be curving away from each other. Therefore, the bottoms of the buildings will have a shorter distance between them than the tops of the buildings. And there was no difference in terms of the heights of these reference buildings. Now, the other thing is we've not validated any of this. We've seen it on a video on YouTube, so none of us have validated these guys as scientists. None of us has double-checked their experiments. On the other hand, we've all done similar things or seen other things similar done, and they, it's following along those lines. It does, it seems to be consistently the case that the Earth is flat everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially if you're using lasers. I mean, those are linear.
Oh yeah, as linear as you get. One thing that was kind of interesting though, that was still in the good 2/3 of that movie, is that they apparently said that according to their measurements, although they didn't actually back that up with experiments, they said they noticed that the land masses, that the water was all flat, but that the land masses appeared to be concave. Just as a side note, and that was like, oh really? So that's why they apparently called it the concave Earth. Though, yeah, it's kind of weird and disappointing that they didn't actually back that up with measuring experiments as well. So I think they based that more on land survey stuff. Although I just couldn't really connect that with the rest. But that was interesting. One thing that really did stand out in its weirdness, though, is that the entire Earth, as they displayed it from the very start, with the pool of the known continents, and then that little South Pole pool with a piece of dry land there, but they never actually talked about it. They just showed that part everywhere. They never addressed it in the entire movie, that that's supposed to be there, or how they came to the conclusion that that even was there. That was so weird. They just put it in there, just, oh yeah, it's there. Just don't talk about it. But that was so weird.
It's like the purple elephant in the room.
Yeah, well, look, there are some hints that there is something like that, mainly Admiral Byrd's testimony of his exploration of the South Pole, that he did come across this vast land mass as large as the United States, as he said it was. dry land with vegetation and, well, the large mountains of uranium and all that stuff. So maybe that could have been a reference, but they just didn't address it at all. It's really weird.
Vegetation. That might support the node theory. We're just sitting in, and that we're just sitting on one node, and there's a bunch of nodes with like different sun circuits and moon circuits that kind of overlap each other.
Nodes. You mean like a pool concept?
Yeah, the pool concept.
Well, this concave Earth model that they presented basically had
Hey,
that
Music Man.
as like
Can
the
you hear
one
us?
big Earth
Hold on a
pool
second,
and
Darwin.
one
Morning.
little
Morning.
pool to the south. So it
Good
was
morning.
kind of like that.
Morning.
Good morning.
So I'm
But-
glad you've joined, Music Man. So your comment was that it was like no forests on flat Earth Part 2. What would make you say that?
I just get a gut feeling that it just doesn't ring true to myself.
Okay, are you a Glober?
No, I've been on this show many times supporting Flat Earth.
But which part?
What do you mean, which part? Which
Well,
part of
to
Flat
me-
Earth was support?
Yeah, I mean, that video for me just condensed 3 years worth of flat Earth experiments that lots of other different people had done individually into a video that had got a group of people doing them simultaneously, or not simultaneously, over the same time span. So for me, they were
Okay.
good proofs, you know. But
Bear in mind, these people say that for a living they are cartographers, yes?
yeah,
Yeah?
some of them did, yeah. Not all of them, but yeah.
I just think they personally just been filming themselves carrying out their normal work duties, and they're just taking the piss out of Flat Earth. That's my gut feeling. You know, time will tell, won't it?
Yeah, I don't think it reeks that badly. I mean, I thought before it came out exactly that. I was like, this is just going to be controlled opposition. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. Like you say, time will tell.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just the no forests comparison for me. No forests nonsense. You know, I went on the round table when a couple of days after the video was released with people like David Weiss and various other YouTube people to discuss it, and I was the only one on the panel that was negative, that was saying I think this is a load of nonsense. And there's been several, Mandela effect being one of them. The no fuel thing being the most recent. But they're clouded in what's the word? Conspiracy. It's just it's a genuine conspiracy theory rather than the obvious and observable nature of our reality, which is what flat Earth is. So it's the other end of the spectrum for me, whereas this didn't seem like that. I mean, Arwen's right, there was some speculative stuff thrown in there, and I kind of wrote it off as just being there to make it a bit more palatable for normies. But maybe you're right, maybe it is, psyop ridden, but why would they have so much excellent demonstrations of flat Earth experimentation? Like I say, we've not validated any of them, but by the same token, on face value, it looks good.
Well, I think that may be a part to co-opt it, or to kind of get ahead of the wave, as it were, by showing like, yeah, we are professionals, and then bringing up a load of nonsense to convolute it. Because that last third, it's not just a bit weird, it was like really, really far out there, total science fiction nonsense, basically. Like,
Is this movie on
What-
YouTube?
Yeah.
it's the convex Earth. I said concave Earth before, by the way.
Convex
Nori
Earth, the
corrected me.
documentary, it's called.
Convex.
Okay.
Even the picture of the like the 3D model of the diagram they've made, it reminds me of a cardboard toilet bedpan.
Yeah, you're not the first to say it. I agree.
It
does
reminded
look
me
like
of a
bedpan.
geode.
And it's in
Stinks,
space. It's in space. I mean, what the... Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
And the,
see why they even have that shape underneath it, and they never even address that part. They never address like, yeah, oh, when you go beyond the ice, you go onto this giant mountainous landmass that's basically on the other side.
Yeah.
They
And also-
don't address this at all.
Yeah.
Why would you? If you're a scientist and you've committed all your work in life to the sciences, then all of a sudden you've come to a realization that the Earth is not spherical. You wouldn't take 7 years to carry out an experiment and release your findings to the world. You'd do it like yesterday. You wouldn't sit on the information.
So is it the 7 years bit you're saying? Because it predates everybody that I know in Flat Earth, with the exception of Math Powerland.
Yeah, just a lot of things. I'm one of the people involved. If you look at his history, he's a ufologist, which is hypocritical of Flat Earth again. Yeah, it stinks for me.
What? What has ufology to do with flat Earth?
But how can they fit together? They can't, can they?
Well, the only way it sort of can is when you draw in the more late industrial UFO free energy level technology, and then bring it into the suppression of science of history.
Reverse engineering.
Reverse. Yeah, the suppression of science and the real history. If you bring in that, but it's not directly related to flat Earth.
And you think they'd be collaborating with FE wouldn't you? Being it's such a big issue. This is the world flat.
I think they're in competition with them, really.
Competition, is it?
Yeah.
Well, that should say everything to you, shouldn't it? Competition to prove. If you think they're in competition with one another, then that should, for you personally, then that should highlight the bullshit involved.
Well, I do kind of feel from especially that second or the last third of that movie, Convex Earth, that I think it's a mixed bag. I think that there are some genuine scientists in there that really just want to be scientifically correct, and I think there are some speculators in there, perhaps even like Freemason guys, and that the project manager that made the whole thing basically did set out to co-opt the movement, and who knows to what ends. Maybe to fight off any complete truthful flat Earth bigger project that may come afterwards. Basically say like, yeah, you stole our experiments to jump on with lawsuits or something. Maybe that's why it was made the way it was. I don't know.
There's one professor on the internet at the moment who's been on for a number of years. His name is Professor Guy McPherson. Have you heard of his message?
What was his name again?
Professor Guy McPherson.
Guy McPherson. No.
Well, his message is that in all of his evidence is based on scientific expeditions, like, people everyone's got a PhD. They've been doing it for like 30, 40 years. And his information is that there's about to be, within the next, it's down to 8 years now, in the next 8 years, a massive release of methane gas from the permafrost, and it's going to be the sixth great mass extinction of the human species. And that's somebody whose all the information is scientifically backed, but no one's talking about that on the internet.
Why would that cause the extinction?
Because the oceans would acidify, and you couldn't breathe. There'd be no oxygen. Just look into it, Guy McPherson, and look at his findings and all the hundreds of scientists, researchers over the last 20 years, and the timeline is now down to 2026.
Okay.
And it just
but
baffles me
methane has
why
been gradually released in the oceans forever. It's like at the bottom, at certain points, there is just methane
Arwin,
gas.
listen. Arwin, you're not a scientist, okay? So don't give me all that crap now. Go and look at Guy McPherson's information yourself, and then try and debate.
So we've got about an hour and a half left on this live stream. Hope you're enjoying the debate thus far. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it's live. and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. Also, please share the show, as this increases the live audience, of course, but that in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. There is about an hour and a half left on this live stream.
Which you've never Googled and searched for yourself because it's unknown to you.
Yeah, but why can't you just answer my question if you're informed about this? What is it exactly?
I'm not a scientist.
You don't need to be a scientist to know what region this permafrost is supposedly at. You just need to have seen his work.
On the Siberian peninsulas.
Siberia. Okay, so the Russian on Russia. Okay, right.
Yeah, and they're holding back like from the top of my head, say one peninsula is holding back 5,000 megatons of methane. It would only take, 1 megaton of methane to end life for all oxygen-dependent species on this planet. Just go listen.
Nothing's very hazardous.
If you just go and listen to the professor himself speak, you do get an air of sincerity when when he's speaking. And he's one of the people who's lost all his funding. He was one of the first, sorry, not one of the first, one of the youngest ever professors of emeritus, which is a great honor. And if you go down the route of researching this stuff and listen to the scientists who give their findings via talks and conferences, you can hear the tone of their voice, the fear in the results which they're giving. It's all being covered up by the media.
Well, it does sound very concerning, although I'd say maybe it would be time to basically harvest that gas before it just gets released in the open. But yeah, I don't know if that's even possible.
Isn't methane also found in the fallacious acts? Like cows, we're concerned about cows farting too much or something like that.
Yeah, but that's not the same scale. So there, as I said, methane is just generally released in the oceans and the atmosphere. It has been happening, well, since the beginning of creation, basically. But yeah, if it is on that kind of scale, and if it's going to be a sudden release, that is going to have a very detrimental effect on the environment. If it really will be that fast.
For a number of years, and just watching cover up and stuff. Have you seen a film called Downsizing?
No.
It's a film came out about 12 months ago. But even in the end of that film, that was the plot. The plot was that these people, that humans are being shrunk down into remember the film Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's called Downsizing. And at the end, the plot of the film was people were being downsized to go underground in deep underground bunkers because of this methane release. But they put that in right.
You referring to like a depopulation at all?
Sorry?
Are you referring to depopulation? Something about 500 million?
No, it's just a Hollywood film.
Oh.
From when?
No, I didn't mention depopulation. I just did this Hollywood film. It just put that as a snippet in the plot at the end of the film. The reason why they were downsizing and going into these deep underground bases because of an impending release of methane gas. I thought that was very interesting. How I was just being fitted into a Hollywood movie, Yeah,
okay, but when was the movie? Like what decade?
12 months ago.
Okay. Well, that is unnerving then.
I'm sure if I know you people here will look into this now, but if you just search for Guy McPherson, his website is called Nature Bats Last, and I've never been able to find a piece of evidence which is fraudulent, which he puts forward. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
it just brings a new perspective on the whole war situation, basically.
yeah.
Speaking of that, Walmart is actually involved in some kind of underground tunneling expedition.
Mhm.
You guys seen that?
Well, they're definitely developing these is it DUMS, deep underground military bases.
Yeah. There was like a bunch of like military vehicles like parked like for miles. I'm like, wow, it's right off Google Earth.
I think I read somewhere, I watched a documentary perhaps on YouTube, that Walmart have got the most advanced logistical transportation system of any retail network in the world. And it did consist of their tunnels underground. Well, I'm quite surprised that nobody has heard of the methane clathrate gun being fired and the feedback loops.
No, I have a vague recollection of it. I never really dug into that. And I'm just thinking, like, how could you stop that? Is there some way to contain this?
I didn't catch that. You were breaking up, Arwen.
I'm just now immediately pondering on, like, yeah, how can you stop this? And not by preventing global warming, because that's all nonsense. Rather, like, could you?
It's just a natural cycle of the solar cycle. But yeah, it will be the sixth great.
Doesn't sound very natural. Like, how would that methane gas even be collecting there? If it's a cycle, then that means it's cyclical, means that
Yeah.
it happens every now and then. Well, a total extinction event by a collected amount of gas doesn't seem very cyclical to me. That once that happens, it's
The
pretty
last
much
time
over.
apparently was 5 million years ago.
Yeah, but that is nonsense. You
That's
don't
too
have any
far
proof
back.
that the Earth even is that old. So
Yeah.
I may be quoting the figures wrong, but this is obviously something you need to look into yourselves to such an important matter.
I'm
Don't let
just
it go.
wondering if this is another doom scenario that is in the same level as the whole Yellowstone Park supervolcano nonsense, which it really is in a way, or that there is something there. And then I'm just thinking, yeah, what can you do to contain it? Basically, I'm thinking of like building a giant tanker uh, to build over that melting ice cap. So once it cracks, once it gets through, it'll just be contained or something. But yeah, I don't know even the scale of that area.
Quarantine, like a small dome.
Yeah, exactly. Like just build a giant tanker around it, just into the mountain area, into the entire land, like a cap, just embedded into the rock to contain it once the pressure is released from under the ice.
I'm going to
Kind of
find
weird.
one conference of a Russian scientist giving her findings after a North Pole experiment phase, and I guarantee, well, I won't guarantee, but you can just hear the tone of her voice and the sincerity which comes through, and the fear. Like she even has tears in her eyes at one point. If it wasn't that serious, why isn't it being shared with the world for people to give solutions?
Perhaps maybe they think they have it under control.
Now, perhaps, yeah, because
That's the only
the
thing I could
elite
think about.
actually wants everybody to die, and they don't really know how to do it themselves. Thus, so they insist on letting this happen to then go
I
on.
posted.
in a
I posted a link in the chat
post
there if you want to
surface
share it,
world,
Nathan.
basically.
Nathan?
You're welcome to play it. If you want to play it, I'll present your screen.
Okay.
What is it exactly?
It's headed Methane Hydrates Extended Interview Extracts with Natalie Shakova following her geophysical union in Vienna in 2012.
Yeah, if you want
That's
to...
an 8-minute one. Shall I find a shorter one?
Just show us a section of it, rather than playing a video and risking me getting a copyright strike for it. If you can just show us what section you want to refer to, that's probably more useful. I only say that because I frequently get copyright strikes when people play videos, that's all.
Perhaps pausing the video on some sort of diagram that might explain it further.
I'll look through now for you.
I'll take a look.
I did post a link in the chat box in the Google Hangout.
Yeah, I'm taking a look right now.
I'll cut it and paste it into the chat in a moment.
Okay, it's basically a talking head. There's no imagery, there's no map, whatever. There's
Talking
one
head.
section of a location.
No,
and that's
no,
it.
no. He doesn't mean it offensively, Music Man, I'm sure.
Hey, Nathan, I want to give a shout out to Tuft of Trees.
Tuft of Trees. Yeah, shout out to Tuft of Trees.
That was the best. That was the best.
What do you
People
mean
still
they're my
remember that.
talking head? They've got good music.
Someone shared the link in the Hangouts.
I put the link in the Hangout to one, yes, but I'm trying to find a short one with Guy McPherson. He was on CNN back a number of years ago. Didn't invite him back, obviously.
Ooh. There's an article linked in that YouTube video that leads with NASA images of melting Arctic sea ice.
Good of the NASA, providing those realistic CGI
Well,
photos.
that's a good sign. That means there may be some nonsense involved. As soon as NASA gets into it, that's a good indication that it may actually not be true.
I've met this professor. Okay, he's no troll. He's not a mouthpiece or a puppet. Genuine bloke.
I'm just wondering now, is this that region? Is this the region where basically Russia has engaged drilling for gas? Is this the place?
I've got a video. Do you want to watch it for 10 minutes, Nathan?
Because I do remember that not too long ago, there was a giant platform being built to harvest this gas that was like in a sea area. Is this it? Are they actually they're actually drilling for gas, methane gas in this area already? That is kind of interesting, though.
Human extinction within 10 years. Oh my.
Some label him an eco-terrorist. Could he just be a realist? Nice New Zealand on a speaker tour joins me now.
Just let me know when you're ready, Music, when you've got a particular part that you want me to put up, I'll put it up.
Yeah, the video is not very good. It's just talking head.
So essentially, to paraphrase, we're just all wasting our time even talking about climate change and global warming.
Well, this last 10 minutes.
Global warming, please.
Which part you'd like to watch?
Well, none of it really. I mean, it'll completely kill the conversation if it's just somebody literally talking rather than a panel full of people actually talking amongst ourselves, if you know what I mean. But I have put the link in the chat so people can watch it.
Okay, cool.
Very calm today.
Ah.
soon as I say these things, we'll get infested by ballers telling us that the Earth's a sphere.
Don't know, everyone's just hanging around.
That's okay by me. I like a relaxed show. I don't mind in the slightest.
Huh.
You know, if the Earth is not flat, why is it? Why doesn't my pizza have sphericity to it? Why isn't it curved?
If the Earth isn't flat, why does a
My
pizza
pizza's pretty flat.
Why does a pizza
I've
what?
just devised an idea in how we could postpone that disaster from happening. It's actually a self-containing mechanism. Maybe they already thought of this, but you could probably harvest this gas, as they apparently are already doing, and then use it to build an ocean refrigerator, a motorized ocean refrigerator, like a cooling system that would actively draw the heat from the ocean to
Don't give
keep
them any
it
ideas,
frozen.
Arwen. Don't give them any ideas.
No, but seriously, that way you could postpone its sudden release for a very long time, for as long as everything keeps running. Though, yeah, it will become very vulnerable.
The gas is
It's
already
a silent killer.
the gas is already being stored in the only way possible, by being frozen.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, it's the problem. It seems to be this gas is under this ice, and once the ice melts, which could happen for a multitude of reasons, but mainly the ocean just suddenly not being cold enough to sustain that ice. Once the ice melts, then the sudden release happens. But you could industrially cool the water to make sure that it will never go above that necessary freezing temperature. So you could actively cool it, even using that by harvesting that gas and then using it to power a cooling system to keep the ice cap frozen. So there is no sudden release. Then the only thing that needs to happen is that not some idiot blows it up. And if that just if that's prevented from happening, then we could postpone that apocalyptic event of the methane release indefinitely.
You can't fix potholes in the roads, never mind cap off 5,000 gigatons of gas. The UK comes to a standstill in an inch of snow.
What are you talking about?
I'm making examples of you saying that, you know, these laborious ideas of cooling the ocean. Governments are not capable of doing things like this. They can't even fix potholes in the fucking road.
Well, potholes are part of another scam. Just get you
can't look. It's all about an industrial project, and it will take a massive effort, and get that done. But hey, if it's going to prevent the extinction of the entire freaking world, then well, they may actually be able to do it. Because in this case, it is an industry project, and industry projects.
Yeah. What does industry create?
Be capable of managing a lot better than making all the public do things, because that's something that definitely doesn't work.
What does industry create? Arwen, what does industry create? What's a byproduct of industry?
Pollution?
It doesn't matter.
Heat.
If you're going to actively cool it, then the entire ocean could warm up as long as that specific region doesn't warm up enough because it's being actively cooled using refrigeration.
You can't cool something without also having an equal reaction and producing heat.
I know. But do you have a refrigerator? You know how that works? Inside the refrigerator, it stays cold. Outside of it, it's warm, but it doesn't matter because inside of it, it's cold.
You vaccine damaged.
No, apparently you are.
Because you're just repeating. Well, I'm like contradicting you, and you're repeating me.
Look, dude, the issue is that the ice above that methane spot could melt, which would cause a sudden release. If you could then locally cool it using refrigeration, then it won't melt, and that problem will be solved.
Yes, and you
doesn't matter if the rest of the world warms up.
Perhaps in strategic locations Maybe with the perm process, the thickest.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm actually trying to think of a damn solution here, okay?
Okay.
Arwen's trying to save the world, people.
Yeah, I do that type of thing.
Doing God's work.
Well, I don't know. God's mainly just a designer and leaves the ideas of managing the world up to us.
Well, we've been doing a very, very horrible job so far.
Well, not that bad. We're still alive. There's still billions of us, so.
Isn't it the more intelligent the species, the shorter its lifespan?
The
Or
more
its
intelligence it
existence
gets,
on
the
this
shorter its
thing.
lifespan. Nah.
Yeah, the shorter its existence in
Really?
history.
Too good for their own good,
Yep. Self-destruct.
perhaps.
Okay, well, if you're gonna be all whiny about, oh, we're all doomed to die, then this conversation is done, because this is completely useless.
Are you triggered, Alvin?
Yeah, I am damn triggered. You're bringing up this cataclysmic event. I actually think of a solution, and you complain about it, and then start whining about how humanity is doomed to die. Come on.
Alvin,
Get the
come
hell
on.
out of
now.
here, man.
Oh,
Get the
you
hell
say-
out.
You've come up with a solution. Come on now.
Yeah, I did. I just did. It was an industrial plan, and it could
It's a
work.
daft solution. It's a daft solution. It wouldn't work.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're such an expert. Yeah, you know it can't work, because, like, why would we try or anything, you know?
Because if you thought of it, I guarantee you somebody with money has thought of it.
Perhaps
Maybe.
we're not able to do it.
That's the very
Restrictions.
defeatist. That's like in the
The end.
Truman Show when the teacher pulls down the map and says it's already all been discovered. So by saying, well, if you've thought of it, someone else must have thought of it. Well, no, we all have the power of creation with us. We all have individual thought, and why not? Doesn't mean someone's come up with it already.
Have you heard of
Look,
every
if
reactor?
people
is
can
equal-
create islands, okay,
Oh.
in Arabia and with China, they're actually creating islands. They're terrascaping. If you can do that, and that is new, they're doing that. They're doing that anew. Then why couldn't you do something like this? Why couldn't you just keep a local spot frozen in the ocean
Well,
to save the
technically-
entirety of humanity?
Technically,
Why is
they're
that
not
so
creating-
ridiculous?
Well, if you just pause for a second, I'll answer you. Technically, they're not creating islands. They're just dumping lots of earth and mud into the water above
Yeah.
sea level. Okay,
Yeah, and
That's
it's
what islands
making
are.
new islands.
it's
I
not.
mean,
It's
besides
not,
underwater volcanoes.
And also, but every action is an equal and opposite reaction. So your assumption that you could freeze things without generating heat, just a load of codswallop.
Sorry,
Yeah,
what?
I mean,
Going back 10 minutes ago when you said that you could freeze the water or cool the water,
Yeah.
you're going to generate the heat via doing that.
yeah, there has
Yeah,
to be an energy
you
source
can release that heat in the air.
Exactly.
in the
And
form of
Yeah.
methane.
that's going to reheat the ocean.
Yeah, what's the problem here?
The problem
There's no
is the
problem if the air heats up. The air is gonna heat up anyway. It also cools off again, as long as the ice directly surrounding that location that contains the gas does not heat up.
We'll start drafting a plan then and email Guy McPherson.
Well, who knows? Maybe they're watching this.
We should just map the whole world using lasers from point to point. I mean, is it so hard to do that? Has no one with money tried that, mapping the world independently?
No, I
That's
think
so
that
weird.
people with a lot of money just use their money to keep their money.
Ha.
The most thing they're focusing on, because if they don't, then they eventually lose their money.
Yeah, maybe
Be
the
honest.
science is there to prevent people with money from doing such experiments.
If money
That's
was no
why-
object to you, would you spend your time with shining lasers around the world? You wouldn't, would you? I know I wouldn't.
I mean, if it's
Oh, I
if
damn
it's
well
gonna
would.
yeah, if it's gonna give you an accurate representation of what the Earth actually looks like, absolutely.
I'd be on a yacht in the med.
Several experiments that I want to do to basically prove my own model.
I'd be on a yacht on the med, surrounded by hookers. Be great.
Good for you. I promise you, it'll get boring eventually.
Ryan Q in the chat says,
It won't
sorry
get
to
boring
interrupt.
for you, then the people that you surround yourself with
It'll
will
get
get
bored.
severely bored with you.
Okay.
Sorry,
Boredom
can I just
awaits
ask a question?
behind door
Sorry
number 1.
to interrupt. Ryan Q from the chat says, please ask when the methane release is going to happen.
But
Within 10 years.
Guy McPherson now says that the timeline is he doubts very much there will be any oxygen-dependent species on the face of the Earth by 2026.
That's like tomorrow.
Yep. But he's been saying he's stuck to that. Actually, the timeline was 2028, and he said that about 18 years ago. But he's brought it forward 2 years now because of the baseline temperature.
But it's still is it based on what they're actually measuring there locally, or is it based on the creepy idea of global warming? Because that hockey stick has pretty much been disproven.
Absolutely.
There is
Just
a
constantly
direct event
cooling.
outside of the global warming theory that is showing that that is the case, then it can be very dangerous.
All of the findings are ongoing and current. So the updates are probably once every month.
All right.
And like I said earlier, this year apparently will be the first time in our lifetimes anyway that there will be no ice in North Pole. It'll just be a slush.
So we've got about an hour left on this live stream. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it's live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do swear, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin this stream. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Massive thanks to those who've done so already. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there is about an hour left on this live stream.
I love that last part. It rhymes so well. Keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate.
Indeed. Subscribe today.
Hey Nathan, what did you think of those t-shirt designs I emailed you the other day?
Did you send me some t-shirt designs? Sorry, I didn't see them if you did. Maybe I did. I don't think so, though.
Yeah, you replied back to me.
Oh, did I? Oh, was that you?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. No,
Yeah.
no, I didn't look at the designs, but I liked what you were saying in the message. Yeah, I'll have to have a look at the designs as well. I didn't look at them.
They be watching the cameras on the.
Okay, so 540?
Yeah, so 540, you know.
Yeah, I liked what you were saying, and I'm pretty sure I said that in the reply. I just didn't realise I didn't put two and two together and realise it was you.
Yeah, there was an attachment on it with a few designs for you.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have a look at them. I mean, it's a very small deal at the moment in that regard. You know, it may or may not. I may or may not sell anything. You just don't know. It'd be nice if people. Were
I think you'll find with those shops they're set up to be unsuccessful because of the initial price margin.
Yeah, no, I'm not set out to make huge amounts of money on it though. I mean, the stuff that they're selling
I know,
is
yeah,
hugely
you make
expensive.
I know it's you won't make hardly anything from the price
Yeah, a
you've got
couple
on
of
there.
quid. I mean, it's not really so that I've got loads of money coming in from that. Yes, an extra bit of cash would be nice, and I do make a couple of quid at the most on an expensive item, which is great. But it's more so that there's just stuff that people can participate with. So that in the respect that, you know, I'm e-begging when I say if you want to support the channel, hit the super chat or hit the link in the info box. Well, now there's something that people who say, well, I don't want to just give you money. Why should I? Well, there's now something that they can purchase, and I do get a couple of quid out of it. That's kind of the purpose of that. And it's fun. I quite enjoy doing it, I've got to be honest. You know, making the designs and putting them on and figuring out how to do it. While I've got a small channel, means that I'm hoping to grow the channel. Hence, I ask everyone to subscribe. You know, genuinely, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. I want you to watch my stuff. I'm a YouTuber at the end of the day. And if I can start somewhere small that's very limited in terms of my involvement, and it's done by a professional company that will do a good job, I'm happy, so long as it's reasonably priced. It's not cheap, it's not expensive, just reasonable. So yeah, I'm happy with what's there. When someone gets it, if they hate it, they can send it back, you know. And again, no hassle for me. Just they send it back. End of story. But I know I'm pleased with the designs. I'm pleased with the way it looks. If it's successful, I'll be rattling on your door, going, now I want to do it independently.
It's a great way to find out who's a flat earther. You know, those people are sometimes in the closet.
Yeah, someone has a small channel and they make a few quid, and people moan about it. You don't see people moaning about the massive channels and we're making like 20,000 pounds a day. They just marvel over it and like praise them. Yeah, it comes to the small guy making, I don't know, 20 quid a day, and it's hell to be paid.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these live streams, again, as much as there's people out there that say, oh, don't watch the adverts are evil, it's like, I'm the opposite. I'm like, well, I actually do want to make money off my YouTube channel. It'd be nice if it generated a good income as opposed to just a few quid. You know, this live stream will make about 60 cents, and I do them daily. You can imagine what this channel's making. You know, coincidentally, I'm going to hopefully improve in the next day or two, because I'll go back onto my main channel, and these won't just be streamed to a limited audience of maybe 12 or 1,300 people. You know, suddenly I'm putting it in front of 5,500 potential viewers live, and rather than them going on the channel in the aftermath. So what happens at the moment is there's a 10-second delay at the beginning of each of these streams, because I have to simultaneously record them. I'll probably continue to do that anyway, but the reason being is because they then get re-uploaded onto the main channel. So Nathan Oakley 1980 gets a re-up at 0 views once these streams finish. So yeah, they all roughly get about 1,000 views. Some get more, some get a little bit less. But that would be considerably more if they already had the 200 or 300 to 500 live viewers that had watched actually live, still being, you know, documented on that channel. But at the moment they're not, because I'm streaming on this channel, which is a secondary channel.
Okay. I'm going to show you the designs I sent you on screen share now.
Yeah, stick them up. Let's have a look at your t-shirts.
All right, I'm gonna speak to
on
the devil.
the
Where's the
moment,
rumpus?
so. Oh, your screen share is not working. Just got your icon. It says that you're screen sharing, but it doesn't.
Nasalization, that's great.
Yeah, it doesn't actually work, music. Your screen sharing isn't working for some
need
reason.
that. I need that in my life.
I think somebody can see them.
Nah, we can't see them.
No?
No.
Somebody just said they could see them.
Yeah, I can see them.
You can
talk
see
about the
them.
shirts?
Oh,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I
I
see
can't see them.
Nasalization and help. I'm surrounded by coverts.
Curvert.
Why isn't it showing for me?
Oh, curverts. Got it.
Oh, there we go. Now I've got it up now.
Pun there.
Cool. Very good.
ID.
Love
Ink
it.
splash design. Very nice.
I'm surrounded by curverts. It's true.
I'll just send you the PNG of that.
You're such a curvert.
Designs.
I mean, I've got a slightly different route with mine. I've got to be honest. So lots of people have sent me slogans and stuff that they want to put with print on it. And although I have done that on a couple of the designs, I tried to steer away from it to a certain extent, i.e., not have slogans and writing on it, just, you know, pictures. So a couple of people have said, well, what's the hyena? What's that? And it's like, it doesn't matter what the hyena is. Do you like the look of it? Because if you do, you might buy it. You know, that's the bottom line. And for those in the know, you know, it's a comical reference to the show. But ultimately, it's just a nice design. Massive shout out to Dank. Thanks for the super chat.
Whatever happened to him? To, what is it?
Say again?
Refraction, hyena, lumen? What was his name?
Yeah, slightly. Exactly. That's so you're
Not-
in the know, so you get the reference. Exactly. That's the idea. It's an in
Yeah,
joke. But ultimately,
Slightly lumen, non-standard refraction, hyena or something like that.
Exactly.
It's great.
Exactly.
It's a great name.
Best YouTube channel. Thank you very much, sir. Shout out to Ute and Arwin for leading me here from ODD's chat. Oh, that's very kind, Dank. Thank you very much for the super chat. Every little helps. Yeah, so yeah, if you get the in-joke, if you get the reference because you watch the show, then it's relevant. So therefore, it's relevant to the show. But ultimately, there may be people who see it that just don't get the reference at all, don't know what it is, but that's fine too. You know, if people don't get the reference, but it's a nice design, then they might just see it and go, oh, I like that. Whereas if it says slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena flat Earth, people might look at it and go, may not want to advertise
it's such a great name.
Yeah. I mean, I've titled it that, so it might say it in the label or something, but, you know.
It's rich.
But the one I was most proud of was Chris Monk had the Blender model shown from above once, and in the Blender model, you could see the Isle of Man from above looking down on the wireframe with the distance from St. Bees marked out with a line, and then the composite in the background curved around in an arc. And that top-down view was just so cool. It looked really ace. And he took a screen grab of it and used it as his like Skype icon and such. And I think he has it as his YouTube icon when he joins these shows. But I took it and just sort of took out some of the negative parts of it and changed it around a little bit. Took a long time to get it looking balanced, but at the end of it, I was so delighted with the way it turned out. And again, there's no reference whatsoever on it to flat Earth. It's just a cool looking thing. My sister looked at it and went, oh, I really like that logo. I don't get what it's referencing. And I was like, it doesn't matter. Do you like the look of it? And she's like, yeah. I was like, good. Because then you might be, if you were in the market to buy a cap, you know, you might be buying it just because you like the look of it, rather than knowing that it means that's a top-down view of a flat Earth representation of Isle of Man. You know, you're not going to know that unless you're in the know. But I think there's a lot of people out there that would not want to advertise the fact that they're into flat Earth, but you know, may want a T-shirt or may want to support me. Who knows? As I say, it may not be at all successful, and if it is, I'll be in touch with you, Music Man, saying help me out with T-shirts. Unless we're at cross purposes, there was that you that was talking about actually producing T-shirts, or am I thinking of someone else? Gone on mute. Maybe he's got an issue.
Yeah, there you go. You're on now. Yeah, I don't produce myself. I used to have a t-shirt printing company. I just design now, so I can get much better prices than I expect you can.
Ah, well, I see.
Just thought it would help you along the way, you know.
Indeed.
Music Man, are you a musician at all?
Yeah, I play a few instruments.
That's awesome. I happen to play guitar and bass, and I'm very, very in depth with music theory. Have you noticed that the starting with A, the last letter in the music alphabet is actually G, and this happens to be the 7th degree if A is the first, which is kind of funny.
But
It's a bit of a parallel there.
Hello, G sharp.
Oh, G sharp and A major, of course. The major 7th, absolutely. The leading tone.
Yeah, I find it interesting that there's with a piano you've got the the 7 notes in any major scale, so 7 days of a week. Then you've got the chromatic scale of 12 notes, so 12 months. Then you've got 52 white keys, 52 weeks. It's all very based
What
up.
about what about the 5 accidentals? When does that come into play?
I don't know. I haven't found the use for that one yet.
5. They were talking about something about the special properties of the numbers 3, 6, and 9. Have you guys seen that video at all?
No.
It's quite interesting. It's like some kind of like looping W or something like that. I didn't get it at first, but I just found it interesting that it kind of parallels with the omega 3, 6s, and 9s.
I might as well play. I'll play you a piece on piano now.
Again?
Flat Earth piano. if the Earth is not, if the Earth is not flat, why doesn't my guitar curve? Why isn't there like a bulge in between the headstock and the sound hole? There should be curvature. This is frustrating for me.
In your guitar?
I'm just joking. My pizza's pretty flat, but it doesn't make sense on a globe Earth. It should be round. Have you guys ever thought about that? Oh, there we go.
It's an interesting point, because if you were to...
Is that the Beatles?
I think you've got an interesting point with your guitar, because if...
Oh, I wish I had a guitar. That'd be great. What key was that in, Music Man?
C.
Oh, I like
C
the
major.
E major you played in there. That was a nice little E major there. That was very nice.
But you
That's in the key of C, that was. Imagine by John Lennon.
if you pulled the strings
Yeah,
flat, right, you've got flat strings, right? But if you were to pull something taut over a massive distance, so like a cable, and then you wound it in with a ratchet and got it really, really tight over a long span, presumably the effects of gravity would be such that it would actually be bending in the same way they say the water is bending. It's all relative to the point that you're at. So as you go along the cable, even though it's hovering at say an inch above. Oh, hello, new guest. Hello, Eric and John. Oh no, just troll attack. Got a few trolls. Whack-a-mole with the trolls. I've lost all the guests as well in the battle with the trolls. I'll have to start a new hangout. Wounded. That down to a fine art now. Starting a new hangout. Hopefully only about 60 seconds of dead air. We shall see after. About 5 minutes before I actually share the link publicly. Hello, Arwen.
Yo.
You hear me? Can you hear me, Arwen?
So where's...
Oh, you can.
What?
Yes, you can. It's okay. Just a bit quiet.
Yeah, where's the rest?
I only
Where's
put the link
Ranty?
in. I only put the link in Skype for now. I'll give it 5
He is
minutes.
online, so...
Yeah, I'll give it 5 and then I'll put the link out publicly. Did you watch that video I sent to you, Arwen?
Which one?
I can't remember the title of it now. Give me a second. I'll bring it up. And... Jordan Peterson.
Oh yeah, I watched it. It was really good.
Yeah, did you get my Fight Club reference?
Mm,
The ability to let that which does not matter truly slide. Identifying
yeah.
things that are of importance and identifying things that you may have been educated about, therefore seem unimportant and ignore, but ultimately recognise that they still have great significance. But ultimately it's more important to recognise the things that don't matter. So today, while you were getting hot under the collar, it's like, try to recognise the importance of that which does not matter. And the way I used to quantify it, I might quantify it slightly differently in future, but was to say, in 10 years, will this matter to me or anybody around me? What, the thing that you're currently engaged in that seems really important. Ask yourself, will it matter in 10 years?
Well, it all depends if they're actually going to refrigerate that permafrost over there. Otherwise, no, it's not going to matter that much.
Ah, there we go.
Although, technically, I would think that they'd be crazy not to do it. So, and if they kept that whole video, that whole report out of the public's attention, then there is probably a good reason to do that. And I think that might have something to do with just not wanting to open up that vulnerability to the public, because there may be crazy parties out there that might actually just try to blow it up or something. And especially if they're going to apply an industrial fix to keep that stable, then keeping it out of the public attention will increase the safety factor of it. So, but I just hope that, yeah, these people in Russia that manage these type of things are sensible enough to at least try to keep it cool. Literally. Yeah.
As long as you keep it cool, Arwen, that's all that matters.
I do my best, but yeah, these types of things I really do care about it. And yeah, you can think about that whatever you like. Ooh, Arwen is trying to save the world. Well, yeah, you know, uh, if my ideas can help save the world, then it's basically, in my view, got my duty to humanity and to God to use it like that. Otherwise, it would be just a waste, you know. So the trolls think it's so funny, so funny. And Darkstar, it really doesn't have anything to do with magical powers. It's just ideas. Being able to figure out, to have creative ideas to fix things. It's not magical. It's called intelligence. It's called creativity. So, but
Yeah, we all
yeah,
have that.
there's a good point that if I'm thinking about it right now, then certainly somebody else must have thought it up as well. So let's hope that's the case. And
I'm not
they've already
disagreeing with you,
built
Arwen,
a
but
refrigerator system.
I kind of see the power of creativity as a magical power, and I mean that in the most sincere way. So that ability to physically create something, be it music or a table or whatever, a new concept, a new idea is the same, but bringing things to fruition, especially, is the literal power of creation for me, and that is quite magical. People do it all
It
the
is
time.
magical indeed, and technically, advanced technology, when not understood how it works and why it works, would typically be considered as magic by those that don't understand it. So,
But yeah, once you recognise that that creativity is probably within all of us, or could be within all of us, it's just been locked up, by the education system. producing good workers doesn't produce creative thinkers or creative people. It creates good workers, and that's what the education system's for. So the few that are lucky enough to break out of that and sort of realise the magical nature of the world or the intriguing nature of the world, those people are blessed, in my opinion. Yeah, if it's not common, then it could be considered magical to some, And I've said this before, I'm sure he's my speaker behind me as an example, to bring that into creation, to create something physically from scratch, from the earth, and turn it into something that can produce a sound, produce waves. That's incredible to me, the physical manufacturing of things. It doesn't matter what you pick. You could pick a car or whatever. It doesn't matter, but the literal creation of stuff, that's cool. That's amazing. And it's in people's capabilities to do it, but they just see big corporations and big manufacturers of stuff doing these sorts of things and think, no, that's already covered. Like the map in Truman Show. Oh, someone's already come up with that idea and have already put it into production if it's viable or commercially useful. And you think, well, no, not everything has been thought of.
Yeah, well, you never know. Although there seems to be this effect that if somebody actually gets an idea, then there is a great likelihood that other people simultaneously or around that same time also get that same idea. This seems to be something, a factor.
I don't know if Dark Star's
They
being
call it
genuine
the
or
hundredth
not.
monkey effect, and it is a
That's
thing,
nonsense.
I think.
The 100 monkey
Anyway,
effect is a nonsense. When it comes up on the panel, if there's loads of people talking about it, I won't interrupt, but it's a load of nonsense. That's not something that's actually been done. That's nonsense. Anyway, that aside, Dark Star says, I magically assembled a sandwich this morning. Now, I don't know if he's being sarcastic, but he's not far from the truth. You could take that example to the other extreme, and I don't know if people are familiar with Heston Blumenthal, I think his name is, chef, that does like extraction of juices and things. He uses all kinds of vacuum chambers and clever equipment to create food. And yeah, you could call it alchemy or magic or whatever you like. He's using certain forces to extract certain flavours and present it to people on a plate. And that's the other end of the extreme of creating a sandwich. It does take some creation and some imagination. And the length of your creative abilities could be expressed by that Dark Star. So yes, you could have created a gourmet meal and you just slapped a couple of bits of bread that were created by a manufacturing process together. You didn't bake the bread, right? You know what I'm getting at. So yeah, it's a testament to how creative somebody is, and food is a good little yardstick. How creative you actually are with that food. But sandwich, fair enough.
Well, what among the technologies, the general technologies that I consider almost magical is the ability how they figured out to encode complex data in energy, in sound, just that type of communication to basically transfer what we've as humanity discovered and started using as writing and numbers into energy, and then transferring that energy from one medium to another. That is pretty damn magical
exchange.
to me.
So
really.
yeah, exactly. So you've got, in terms of cookery, you've got chemical reactions happening. And Captain Bullshit in the chat says, well, cooking isn't magic. Well, no, because the chemical processes are understood. But prior to them being understood, you could define it as magic. If it's not something that you understand, but yeah, a chemical process takes place that you have got no idea the whys and wherefores of, then you've witnessed magic. Yeah, I agree that currently we all understand the physics of how certain cooking processes happen. But that's why I used Heston Blumenthal, because we're talking about people who have creativity and imagination. And in the case of Heston, he's taking stuff and putting a new spin on it by using different forces rather than just using the chemical process of making a cake. He's trying something different, and his imagination drives that. So yes, you can look at cooking as just a mundane process that we all do, or as I do, as a flat earther, everything's magical. You know, making a sandwich, making bread, you know, from the consistent components of it is a magical thing. Now, if you're just buying it off the shelf and slapping your sandwich together, you don't give it a second thought. But that's exactly what I was talking about earlier in terms of that video that I sent to Arwin. It's assessing the importance of things. You know, if you see it as mundane and unimportant because you understand the process, you might not recognise any other avenues that you can explore. It's basically shutting down your creative side of your mind because you understand something already and therefore it can be dismissed. Well, the dismissal of everything around us in terms of our world is the point of this show. You know, we were trained to have an understanding, therefore it seems insignificant, unimportant. The shape of the earth, we already know it. Well, when you break free of that and start to critically analyse certain things that may be considered mundane by others, you find yourself with a much more a wondrous world. Let's not use the word magical, but certainly wondrous, if that's a good word. Probably not.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could come up with a better one. But in any event,
Well, for example, how about quantum computing? That's still magical. Like, I don't think
that's
many
a good
people
example. It's a
really
process that's
understand
not
how that even works, even though it works.
Exactly. That could be considered magical because it's a process with, you know, it could be chemical, it could be whatever that's happening in front of you. Hello, Helio Skeptic. Long time no see.
What's up, guys? What's up?
Good to have you.
Hey.
I can stop babbling.
Hey.
Interesting people on the panel.
No, I really like what you were talking about, because have you ever prepared a meal for someone and just to see their reaction of how they enjoyed it, you know, how they received it, and it doesn't. I mean, you can have the components there, but if you prepare a meal for someone and you put your heart and soul into it, and this their reaction to what they receive from it, that's the magic. You can just put anyone can throw some fucking broccoli in a, pardon my French, pardon me, I said the F word, forgive me, Nathan. You can throw stuff together and just make a meal, and they don't really. Anyone can throw anything together, but if you know how to prepare the components to this.
Is this why mother's meals are the best, because of the intent she puts into them while she's preparing them for us?
Well, I like to. I mean,
well.
I'm a Southerner. I'm a Southern American, so I mean, yes, you when you prepare a meal for your family, you're going to put the love in it. You have to put the love in it because you want to prepare a meal for your family that's going to mean something. And when they eat it, I mean, you're going to nibble on it while you're cooking just to taste it, make sure it's going to be, something that's absolutely wonderful for them. And when you see your family enjoying the meal, it means everything.
Yeah. And especially somebody that's very bad at cooking, that just can't get it to work, and like they screw up their meals. And if you make like something really, really good for them, they are genuinely like amazed by it.
I think
How did you do that? That's like magic. I love that.
I think it's inherent in all humans that just feeding anyone, even feeding animals, you get a certain satisfaction from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you're not doing it, and that's a selfless act. Even though that you may have spent money on the meal, but it's actually for them and not for you. It's a selfless act. And I'm a cabinet builder, so when I build something and someone looks at the finished product, they look at it and they're I gain satisfaction from them observing the finished product, and they're happy with the product, and then that just really means something to me, even though they paid me for it.
No Globadals.
No. Did we manage to keep one guest? Did they keep you no globe zone?
Hey,
Man, he was quick.
so
Got rid
that's
of
how it feels
5
to get
guests
sniped.
before I could get rid of him. So in the time it took for the eject, the prompt to come up with the eject button, he got rid of all 4 guests in that space of time. Amazingly quick.
Crazy. So how do people actually snipe?
How do they?
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
I'm
going to tell
fairly
you
new
that.
to this.
I'm not going to tell you that. But what we'll do, I'll publish the
Oh.
link again. So if you can rejoin, if you give it 2 minutes, there's about. I would have almost not done it. We've got exactly half an hour left, so it just justify having a new hangout. So I'm gonna cut this call off
So
in a moment, but just click the link again.
Okay.
That Issa Maholsky clip. I'm not talking to you. I've got my mic open. I'm talking to the audience. And my wife thought I had her attention for a second. Issa Maholsky, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Hang out. Let's just out on Skype first. Okay. That was quicker or... So yeah, we've got about half an hour left. May as well do a quick link. Hi Arwin. Wait, I won't be with you. I'll be with you shortly, sorry. So yes, we do have about half an hour left on this live stream. If you'd like to join the panel, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do join and swear, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream on this stream. Please don't try to join this stream. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as this increases the live audience and that in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there's approximately half an hour left on this live stream. Steady trolling, wouldn't you say, Arwin?
Yeah, I don't know why. Oh, echo.
At least it's just because the hangout's new. It's consistent though. It's not like, I don't know, sometimes you get 25 minutes of solid trolling. In this one it's just been intermittent trolling.
I guess I don't know why they do it. It's not like we're in a hefty debate and the globe side is losing, right? We're just talking about general stuff, so I don't see the purposes as to why they're trolling, really.
What we consider to be talking in general probably isn't well received by most, shall we say. So for example, I'm saying there's a world of wonder out there, we don't know what it is, and there's people thinking, I know exactly what everything is, I've got Wikipedia.
Yeah.
How long shall I give it before I stick the link out, do you reckon? Five minutes? Got a drain to unblock. Got dirty work to do. More than keen to sit here not doing it. Relaxing with no pestering trolls while the link's not out. Ah, sorry. I'm going to stick it out, Arwin. if nothing else, for
That's
entertainment
fine.
value. If this show gets trolled, I'll bring you back in on Skype and we'll just round out on Skype. I'll get on with my plumbing. There you go, so the link is now available. Let's get my fast mouse. A few shout outs, couldn't I? While we're waiting for someone to join us. Flat Earth Scam Artists, good to have you. Be here and live. Very pleased to see you. Dan W, thanks for being here. Brandon Cook, good to see you, my friend.
Thank you,
Music
Vincent.
Man, the link is now out there again if you want to rejoin. Ian Matheson, thanks for being here. Moto X Addict, good to see you. Hello, Music Man.
Oh yeah.
Hello again, No Globe.
Connection at last. Ha 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 ha. Astronauts to the moon.
That's from Coneheads, isn't it? Is it called Coneheads?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Helio Skeptic.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, it appears someone wasn't happy with my.
I know we're talking about cooking. It's because it's in relation to creation.
What?
I have a
Say that
friend.
again?
There are two types of magic. One ends in K, one ends in C, and the one which ends in K is the magic of the mind, and the one which ends in C is sleight of hand. His name's Dr. Richard Allen Miller. He did work on NASA. I did try approaching the flat Earth subject with him on numerous occasions, but I tried to remain respectful. But he always tended to veer away from it.
No.
Got him quicker.
Yeah,
Let's see
Dr.
who's
Thank
still
you,
managed.
Nathan.
I know he didn't get anybody this time. Hooray! Got my quick mouse.
Yeah, for your sink, Nathan, try using some bicarbonate of soda and vinegar. Or your soil pipe.
Yeah. I just want it to clear so I can. I've got a whole load of new fittings that I'm going to put in.
Cool.
It was a nightmare. I thought I was winning. I was plunging and plunging, and the water's going down. And like, great. And all I'd done is I'd blown off the overflow. It popped off. I put so much force into the plunge that it popped the overflow off, and all I was doing was pumping this bath full of water onto the floor, and I hadn't noticed. And because it's an apartment, there's the edge of the building. There's like that's where the end of the concrete floor is. So there's like a little gap. So it's just dribbling down and down into my neighbour, and then there's a knock on the door while I'm underneath, and I've realised, and I've got towels out and all the rest of it. She's like, "Oh yeah, you flooded my bathroom." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I know what the problem is. I've plunged it out and it's popped off, and I'm sorry." I thought, go and get all the new replacement bits. So I've done that this morning, covered in sewerage. Fun. I'm sure everybody wanted to know that on this Flat Earth chat about my plumbing problems.
Quite a lot of people carrying out some household duties on the bank holiday.
Jamie.
Yeah, got the troll infestation.
Well, I'm sorry if I offended you earlier, mate. I must admit, it's nice to tell somebody about the methane problem and then take it to heart. Because obviously, if it is true, it's a very, very serious problem.
I think Arwen might have been kicked out in that, so I'll see if we can get him back on Skype. There we are. We're genuinely being hard by trolls. They're going to manage to pick them off one at a time while I pick them off, maybe.
Did anyone have anything better else to do?
There we go. Got Owen back.
Hey. I wasn't even saying anything.
It's like they've joined and the first thing they've done is gone, get Owen first. Ah, damn. They've got everyone. Is it worth starting a fourth hangout for the last 20 minutes, Arwen? What do you reckon?
How many minutes?
Just under 20, is it? Maybe a bit less. 17 minutes. 17 minutes left.
Well, yeah, you should basically finish. I think. Otherwise, the
I mean, we'll
trolls
chat for the next 20 minutes. I don't think I can be bothered to set up a new hangout. This one's still running, so people can still join. So we might get the odd guest. We'll see. Might see if I can add Anthony. I know he's out and about, but he might be able to join on his phone. We shall see.
No, he said he was busy, so.
Maybe not then. Yeah, maybe a relaxing end. As I say, the link is still public. You can still
Weather's
join the
nice.
hangout.
Nice and sunny out there, so.
It's miserably here. Raining.
Oh.
You guys going to the Flat Earth Convention? Yes, I think so.
When is it?
End of the month. Well, end of this coming month. 7th, 8th, 27th, 28th,
Today's the
29th
end of the month.
April. Jury's in. So it's www.flatearthconventionuk.co.uk. That's the place to go. Buy yourself a ticket. Not horrendously expensive. For a day ticket, at least. But yeah, he's done well. Put a lot of different stuff.
Oh yeah, I have a little weird, silly little story. Did you hear about the Pope?
What about him?
Well, I don't know exactly when it was, but a few days ago, I think, he basically declared that hell didn't exist. And then, like, pretty recently, suddenly, there was, like, this crack in the Vatican. Like, parts of the ceiling came down.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was really weird. Of course, everybody's always speculating about this. Ooh, it's blasphemy. God is going to bring down the Vatican for this. Oh, I think he's got plenty of other reasons to do that. But yeah, that was just really odd. And in a way, it's kind of funny because what he basically declared was very similar to what the Mormons say. But that's just so contradictory to the original Catholic approach of heaven, hell, and purgatory. To then just suddenly abandon that and say, like, no, hell doesn't really exist. And you just, after you die, God gives you the opportunity for you to repent anyway, and then you can go to heaven. It sounds really nice, but it's just such a sudden change. It's just weird.
I've got the details for the UK convention on screen now with the little countdown clock. Stick the link to the website in the chat. So yeah, get yourself a ticket. In the UK, no excuse. It will be good.
trolls are misinterpreting what I'm saying. No, I'm not talking about death being a sudden change. I'm talking about that declaration by the Pope of what it's supposed to be. That is a very sudden change. It's a very harsh contradiction with what's been said since the beginning of it. That is the abrupt sudden change. And yeah, in the end, who knows? I think we'll all find out. And I think that my personal stance and that of many others is just to follow the path of Christ, to just do your best in life and learn from your mistakes. And when you know something is wrong, then don't do it. If you follow those principles, I think you have the best chance, because it seems that all types of rigid rules, doctrine-like rules, bring in complications, because it all depends on the circumstances in the world. Like, yeah, the world in the past was very different from now. So would that automatically mean that people now just barely have a chance to get in heaven because of those old rules? Or do the rules really change? Or are there any set rules really? Or does it just matter on your demeanor, on your personal spiritual attitude towards the world and yourself? And I think I'm personally more inclined to believe that. Otherwise, it just all seems very hopeless or unbelievable. So, and that's not going to help either.
Dave?
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, right.
Me
We're
here?
live. We're live. Just
Can
so
you hear
know.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I know.
I thought there was someone in the hangout for a second.
I was watching the show and yeah, I was watching the hangout, or I was listening to the hangout while I was doing something. There is a recording chat which I'm pretty sure you've not seen, otherwise you'd have responded to it. But Ian Matheson's asking, can you address Cat Earth's most recent video? It's about 3 weeks old, but we've already addressed it once before. Do you want to give him a rundown on it so that he basically stops asking the same question in chat?
What's he asking? What's the question?
He's asking you, can you comment on Cat Earth's most recent video, which claims that you're a liar? It was to do with the lighthouses. Do you remember when we were watching the lighthouse on the lower car park place?
Sure. Contextually, when we were looking at those lighthouses, there was an argument between Anthony and myself in terms of Fresnel zones and how I felt that the lighthouse could be co-opted into an excellent globe proof by using the Fresnel zone and saying that the light was being refracted. So my standpoint was that at the time Anthony had a video of the lighthouse, Morgord Lighthouse, from the lowest elevation point. And I was there. I saw this with my own eyes. So did my wife. So did Spurs Chemo and Anthony's missus and Anthony. And we're all there. And we saw Morgord Lighthouse flashing. Very, very low in elevation. And I looked into the subject and discussed it with Chris. And the conclusion I drew was that it would just be used as a globe proof. So that was at that stage. And in the back chat, I was chatting to Anthony saying, don't bring up this light. At the time, it wasn't published, and I said, "Look, just don't bring it up. I think it's it's an excellent globe proof." I can't remember exactly how I phrased it, but words to the effect of, "It proves the globe." And I think Alex screen capped that, which pissed me off. I've got to be honest, because it was a private conversation that wasn't going out. It wasn't being broadcast. Anthony just happened to have his screen presented in the Hangout, but it wasn't being broadcast. So he screen capped it and has then said, "Look, Nathan says this proves the globe." I'm like, no, contextually, during a debate, I was contacting Anthony saying, my opinion. You know, it's not. Why would I contextualize it with somebody that I've had the conversation with? It. You don't think that somebody's going to screen cap it and take it completely out of context. So if he's suggesting for 1 second that I'm lying and actually think the Earth's a globe, no, not at all. But in the context of the argument, my position was that that lighthouse, even from the low elevation, would be used to prove the bulge. That turns out to not be the case. You know, I thought that the Globers who were taunting Anthony to try and get that footage were doing it because they wanted him to do it, as opposed to challenging him because they thought he couldn't. Now, Anthony assumed, I don't know if you were correct, Anthony, that they were challenging you because they thought you couldn't get it, and you did get it.
Yeah, my position was that I didn't agree with Nathan's interpretation. I did not feel that it was a globe proof, because the issue was to do with the lens, the Fresnel lens that is after the bulb, but
Right.
before your eye, focuses the light to a focal point in the sky, which is 20 miles away, or from the observer, 10 miles. And Nathan's view was that would then be argued as a globe proof.
Right, exactly.
And therefore,
So you've got the.
My interpretation was. Sorry,
Yeah,
say
you
again.
carry on.
My interpretation was not the same as Nathan's. My interpretation was there's supposed to be a bulge in front of us there of X amount of feet. They can't get past that. What Nathan's view was they will twist it and co-opt it into a ball earth proof, and by consensus they will win the point. Which I agree with that point. By consensus they will win the point, but by fact they wouldn't, in my opinion. So Nathan and I had a disagreement over what this actual evidence should be interpreted as, and was it actually a strong or a not strong flat or ball earth proof? And the reality is it can be interpreted two ways. So yes, Nathan thought it was a trap, and therefore don't give the ammunition, because they will win the point by consensus, devoid of the facts. But the reality is it's a 50-50. It can be interpreted both ways. Because of the science. So ultimately we didn't go with it. So the claim that by Alex that Nathan was lying is misguided, because what Nathan was actually doing was he'd worked out how they would co-opt it into a ball earth proof, which I agree with Nathan. They would have done, and had it have gone like a big deal out of it, that's what would have been argued. And by consensus, they would have won. But in real world, it was 50-50. And if you're a flat earther, you would realise that there's no bulge in front of you. But they would argue, oh, well, it's diffused light and therefore blah, 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 blah. And everybody, if it was Rumpus, for example, everybody would just agree with him. And by consensus, they would win the point. So Nathan's been taken out of context. And it's been said that he's lying. And it's not true. It's simply the fact that he realised what the counter argument would be, and perceived it as a trap, which I agree with him. It is the case. But Nathan's not lying. Nathan's just anticipating the actions of the ball earthers because they are dishonest. It's that simple. That's my view on it, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what pissed me off more than anything else is I'm not going to contextualise it. So I think what I said was perfect globe proof. Now, what I mean contextually is it will be used by the globe heads as a perfect way of proving the globe for them. But I'm not going to phrase it that way when I'm having a private conversation on Skype with somebody. That's not what you do. You know, the fact that Alex was privy to it and has taken it in a different context, fine. If you want to say that I think there is perfect globe proof out there, I don't. I've asked for it since those shows, and believe me, there isn't any scientific proof of Earth curve. So it's no proof whatsoever of anything. So if you want to take it to the extreme context, it doesn't prove anything. Nothing really does that we discuss in these shows. There is no scientific proof either, and Flat Earth doesn't have the scientific backing. What pissed me off was that it was a private conversation he screen capped and then published. You know, for that, I was like, okay, fine, Alex, when you want to moan about being bullied for being a Christian in Discord by a load of globe heads, and I say, fine, you know, I've always said my doors are open, all are welcome. And he came on the show, chatted with us, and was all relatively cordial and friendly. You've got to ask yourself, why would you do that? Why would you suddenly go back to the arseholes you're moaning about bullying you because of your belief in Jesus, and immediately just betray the trust of somebody else, like me? It's like, okay, do what you like, mate. It doesn't make any difference. In the scheme of things, like I was discussing with Arwin earlier, 10 years from now, will I give two shits about Alex? No. That's why I don't care now. So I don't really care, but Anthony's asked me to contextualise it. There you go. Been contextualised. Don't care anything beyond that. I'm not lying about believing the Earth is a globe, if that's what Alex is trying to imply. The Earth is obviously and
I can
observably
vouch for that,
flat.
obviously. Nathan and I do speak off quite a lot. Arwin's there too. None of us are in any doubt whatsoever that Nathan does not think the Earth's a ball and is trying to deceive people, which is what Alex was claiming. The other thing, of course, with it being the holiday period now, tomorrow we're going back up to St. Bees for a couple of days. One of the things that I'm going to do is perform an experiment to see how low onto the beach I can get before that light becomes no longer visible. So I know that I can see it at the Miles Davis car park, the elevation of around about 30 to 40 feet, whatever that figure turns out to be, which is another experiment I'll be doing. But anyway, I'll be seeing how low down onto how low onto the beach we can go to see that lighthouse. Now, I know from previous experiences, I'm pretty certain I can see it on the beach, not far off the water level. I've never been able to prove it before because I never realised it was such a good proof. But my position with regards to Nathan and disagreeing with Nathan will change if I can get it at water's level. If I can see that lighthouse flashing at water's level, that goes beyond the parameters of reasonably arguing for bendy light through the Fresnel lens and stuff. Because at the moment, where Miles Davis was stood, yeah, you can argue that 50-50. However, if it gets down to the water level and it can be seen, that changes things significantly. And that's one of the things that I'll be trying to test. How low can we go before we lose sight of that light that we can document, we can prove, we can evidence and show that there is no bulge in front of us. So that's one of the things I'll be doing in the next few days, and it's going to be done hopefully on a clear evening.
Cool.
Anthony,
Hey,
I'm going to be doing the same, Anthony.
Say again, Mark?
I'm going to be doing the same. I'm going to lighthouse hunting right from the beach, from the Irish coast onto the Isle of Man. So we'll swap notes maybe Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, Mark's got one as well. He's got a lighthouse. It's a really low level lighthouse. Mine's focal height's about 210 feet. Mark's 1 feet, I think. Mark, is that right?
Say that again.
We both got two lighthouses. And mine's at about 210 feet focal height, and yours is about 30 feet. Is that right?
I'm not too sure. I can see a light flashing, but there's two lighthouses along the west coast of the Isle of Man that have the same flash pattern.
You're not going to get any more out of him, I'm afraid. He's been sniped, so might be a perfect time to round out the show, unless you've got anything you wanted to add, Arwin or Sleeping Warrior.
The Earth's got no curvature, and it's demonstrably the case. You're a fool if you think that it's not. Go out and check it for yourself, and then come to your own conclusions.
Arwin, anything to add?
Just be honest with yourself, and when you actually figure out that you're making a mistake, then just admit to it. And this is something that I try to do as much as possible, because it actually helps to clear you up and
to
build integrity. And it's something that many Globers out there are completely adamantly refusing to do under any circumstances.
I totally and wholeheartedly agree. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. Be sure to, if you've not done so already, like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.